Hey everyone, so I posted the conference for the IDA conference, but I posted it so that people could see what is happening in Africa, what the challenges are, and what I do, my role in supporting Ndidi, our new CEO for the One campaign, not just me, but thousands of activists all over the world, and what we're standing for. So the ideologies between here, when I say here, I mean North America and Africa, are very different. They are saying that the population in Africa is going to increase by 30% in coming years. So they're looking for investments in electricity, especially in the rural areas, education, things that Robert Mugabe did very well in his first, I'd say the first 10 years in leadership, political leadership. And then they're looking to help get private-public partnerships. So a lot of the things that they are trying to do for Africa now, and also to have more activists on the ground in Africa, doing what we are doing, engaging with politicians, trying to get the support and holding ourselves and the political leaders accountable. That's what they are trying to do. The difference between there and here is that here there is a big push for abortions, there's a big push for having free contraceptions, free illegal drugs. They made illegal drugs legal. There's a big push for the exact opposite of what is happening with regard to human life. And so for those of us that have come from Africa, people tell us that, oh, you sound like an English school teacher, or you sound like you're standing on ceremony. Watch that video to see how well spoken our African leaders are, our youth representatives. Because part of our training when we go to high school is to do speaking work. So whatever I've done here, I've done to adapt to how the North Americans want me to be. Be like a friend, you know, John Maxwell is your friend. But where we come from, we are the experts. We are the ones who have the education, who have the skills. And so when I came to Canada, and rightly so, if people used to tell me what they thought, I used to challenge them. So they didn't like it, but I'm not stupid. I'm not coming here like a refugee with no education, no experience. Then they said, oh no, you don't know how to speak. I'm like, what do you mean I don't know how to speak? And they're like, no, like you need to change your tone. You need to change how you speak to people. So I did not encounter all of this when I lived in England, when I lived in South Africa, when I lived in the UK. I never encountered this. So for me, this was nonsense. And even the people that I work with in the call center now, the girls that have come in from Nigeria, from other parts of Canada, they're like, she's telling me that I don't know how to talk. And I'm like, well, that's how it is here. You either adapt to it or you're not going to have a job. And they're like, seriously? I said, yeah, I've been in this company for 5 years. So if they tell you change your tone, you change your tone. If they tell you that your voice sounds aggressive here, you have to change it, you have to change it. And they're like, come on, we're not children. I said, well, if you want to challenge the supervisors and the operations manager and all of them, go right ahead, because I did it and nobody listened to me. So I think the more that we get migrants coming in from Africa and other places, the more Canadians are going to be challenged. And now it's not only coming from us, the people that have left Africa and different places to come here, it's coming from Canadians themselves. They're like, there's no point staying in Canada anymore. We would tell anybody who gets the opportunity to get an opportunity to work in your field in America or work in your field in England to go, because you're not going to get to earn the money you want to earn in Canada. You're not going to get to where you want to be in your career. And people have left, they've interviewed them on the news, and these are white Canadians. They're like, we're happier. We're much happier in America than we were in Canada because we've got a good income, things are more affordable, and we've no intention to come back to Canada. So when I used to tell people that, when I used to write to the MPs and call Justin Trudeau and tell them not only for here, but also for the work we're doing in Africa, I never got a call back. I never got a meeting, except with Marco Mendocino. Justin Trudeau has had lots and lots of meetings and events with people. He's had Zoom calls, he's had photo sessions, he's had a lot of different things. Here, it was Bill Mono that made time for us before the corruption scandal broke out. So we used to go to his office to deliver our petitions, to get some time with his representatives. Marco met with me. I'm not saying he didn't, but it was a very hard learning curve because I've never done this type of work before in a voluntary capacity. So it was hard for me. Now they've just made contraception free in Canada. So the population here is aging. I mean, they're looking for caregivers in Canada, in the UK. People don't want to have children. If they're having children, they don't want to look after them. And they're quite happy to take the handouts from the government for food, for all these things. When we were growing up, my mom always made our sandwiches or whatever we were taking to school. And when we got to high school, we started doing it, whatever we were taking. But I mean, we're becoming a welfare state. And Africa is looking at becoming leaders. They're looking at investing in their infrastructure, in education, in healthcare. They're developing private-public partnerships. And, you know, if you look at the African leaders when they present, I mean, there was one point where I had to tell Justin Trudeau, like, seriously, why are you standing in the cold and giving your speech? It's snowing. Can your staff not put you inside a building, or do they want you to get sick? Then there was another political leader. He was giving the presentation in the rain. I was like, whatever. I'm not going to say anything anymore. I mean, watch that video just to see, because I would like people to see how Africa does things in style. The red carpet, the chairs that were laid out, the introductions. And yet if I do that, I get criticized for it. I get condemned for it. So, you know, obviously this is not right for me. I mean, I think a lot of people that have come here from Ghana, from Nigeria, they all told me the same thing. Even at Teleperformance where I work, they're like, if this is how Canada is, we're giving it a year or two. Once we finished our studies, we're going back. Because there are very nice gated communities in Nigeria. Yes, there's crime like everywhere else, but they're like, Belinda, we're not staying here. So I think it's unfortunate that even after all these years, I can't get a break and I can't get the opportunity to move into a good paying job. I mean, for me, there's no going back to Africa, unfortunately, unless I get to work with somebody that's going to help me to do something like Ndidi does, where I get to travel, where I get to go out and do speaking engagements. And I think that John Maxwell will help with that regard. But I think it's sad. I mean, even with all the pressure that was put on me by the extended family and the family to take that medication, I'm like, why should I take it? If I know what is good for me, why should I take it? Plus, I had the training at Regis College about the church does not really support psychiatric care and pushing all these drugs. There's even been case studies done at U of T of how the physicians are pushed to push the drugs. With Ritalin, some children don't have ADHD. They just need to get rid of the energy. They give them Ritalin, it makes it feel like there's worms crawling under their skin. And big executives that push back in the hospitals and places like that, they lose their jobs because there's such a big push for pharmacare and all these medications. Anyway, it's up to them. I mean, if they're going to keep pushing their contraception and sterilization and forcing things on women, it's not going to work because eventually women get sick of it. And even with me, if I got a job where I could do what I like to do, be an executive assistant and leave this country, even with all the work I've put in, all the experience I have, I would leave and I would go because I'm tired of not being able to make ends meet. I'm tired of sitting around half my life waiting for the next opportunity, and life is flying by. I mean, I'm not the only one saying it. People are frustrated. People have had enough. When do things change for people like me, who are doing the right things, who are educated, who are experienced? When do things get better for us? When do we stop living in debt? You know, I mean, other people, if they need the medication and they want to go back and take medication, that's fine. But for me, what would I go back to? What would I actually go back to if there's no jobs in Zimbabwe? They had a big meeting with the leaders, political leaders in Italy to find out why people are leaving Africa by the boatload. Because there's no electricity, there's no jobs, there's floods, there's diseases. Then people want to play God and say it's climate change. Those floods in Dubai were not climate change. They seeded the clouds and they did it a bit too much. Now there's floods there. So it's not climate change, it's man-made. Just watch the news. Things have changed, thankfully. Before we used to all be ignorant and blindsided and just believe, oh, it's climate change. It's not climate change. They're implementing it. So I don't know about the other places, Russia and China and all the other places that got flooded, if that was cloud seeding. But with Dubai, they said it was cloud seeding. So it's all a big social experiment. These experiments have been going on since the 70s, not only now. And we covered it in my studies at Regis College. We covered this thing about pushing medication and the side effects. And most of the time, 90% of the time, it leads to, they'll start with one thing, then they'll go to electric shock treatments, then they'll go to taking you and leaving you in the hospital and nobody coming to visit you. They escalate it. Why would I put myself through that knowing, as an educated woman, what the steps are and what they do? Why? I wouldn't. And the majority of the time it's done to women. It's not done to men. It's done to women. And it's always been that way. Even in Africa, even in North America, the sterilization, forced sterilization of women, it goes on. Oh, you know, she's soft in the head. Oh, you know, she can't make good decisions. It's better if she doesn't have children. That's how it starts. It's been done in Africa, and we know, because we know it was done in South Africa. I've read studies about how it was done in North America with the indigenous people. We have camps here that the indigenous people live on. So it's not like it's new to me. It's not new. And I'm proud of Ndidi for going there and for presenting us. And she did a really good job. She was very good. But I'd like people to watch that video, because I'm sick and tired of being treated like I'm an idiot. Like I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to present. I don't know how to carry myself. I don't know how to represent myself. Because it's not true. But what they do to you when you come here, they make you feel that way. And you have to change. You have to take their retraining, take their reprogramming, think like them. You have to do it. Otherwise, you will not work. And it's unfortunate, because we are a global community of nations now. People are standing up to it, and people are sick of it. all the Nigerians I worked with, they said, if this is how Canada is, we're going back, or we'll go from here to America or England, not staying here. Because all of us are tired of it.